15 years of dedication, hundreds of sleepless nights, and a single signature they didn't know was hanging over their heads like a guillotine. They called me into that sterile conference room at 4:30 p.m. on a Tuesday, spouting rehearsed lines about optimization and restructuring, then escorted me out like yesterday's trash. What they didn't know was that I was the last pin holding their billion-dollar machine together, and when that pin drops, everything collapses. My name is Claire Donovan, and I've been with Meridian Global for 15 years. Tonight, they're throwing what they call a celebration, a merger party for our recent acquisition of 3 smaller firms, a deal worth $275 million. The ballroom at the Ritz-Carlton sparkles with champagne flutes and fake smiles, but I can smell the blood in the water. Our CEO, Richard Brennan, takes the stage at 8:30 p.m. sharp, his silver hair gleaming under the chandelier lights. He raises his glass, that practiced smile stretching across his face like a crack in fine china. Tonight, we celebrate not just a merger, he begins, his voice carrying that particular tone executives use when they're about to destroy lives, but a transformation, an evolution toward peak operational efficiency. Peak operational efficiency. I've heard those words before. They're corporate speak for heads will roll. I watch from my corner table, nursing a glass of mediocre Chardonnay, as Richard continues his speech. My eyes drift to the man standing just behind him, Ethan Walsh, our newly appointed Vice President of Operational Excellence, 35, Harvard MBA, brought in specifically to streamline our operations. He catches my gaze and offers a slight nod, the kind that says he knows exactly who I am and exactly what's coming. Ethan is everything wrong with modern corporate America wrapped in a Tom Ford suit. He's been here 3 weeks and has already made it clear that anyone who's been with the company longer than 5 years is, in his words, legacy overhead. He actually said that in a meeting, to my face, while looking directly at me. Change is never easy, Richard continues, his voice taking on that faux sympathetic tone. But it's necessary for growth. In the coming weeks, we'll be making some difficult decisions about our organizational structure. I feel my colleague Janet tense beside me. She's been here 12 years. Across the room, Tom from legal loosens his tie. 18 years. We're the old guard. The ones who built this company from a startup in a Manhattan loft to a corporation with offices in 15 countries. And now we're expendable. The party continues with its charade of celebration. Ethan makes his rounds, shaking hands with the younger employees, the ones he's deemed worthy of keeping. When he finally approaches my table, his smile is sharp enough to cut glass. Claire, he says, extending his hand, enjoying the party. It's lovely, I reply, matching his tone. Nothing says success quite like expensive champagne and thinly veiled threats. He chuckles, a sound devoid of actual humor. You know, Claire, I've been reviewing your department's metrics. 15 years is quite a tenure. It is, I agree. Long enough to know where all the bodies are buried. Something flickers in his eyes. Annoyance, maybe, or perhaps the first hint of uncertainty, but it's gone in an instant, replaced by that corporate shark smile. Well, tenure isn't everything, he says. Sometimes fresh perspectives are what's needed to move forward. Fresh perspectives, I repeat, taking a slow sip of my wine. Is that what you're calling it? He leans in slightly, lowering his voice. You're a smart woman, Claire. Smart enough to see the writing on the wall. Monday morning, 9 a.m., conference room 12. Bring your laptop and your company phone. There it is, the death sentence delivered between canapes and small talk. Monday morning. I'll walk into that conference room, and HR will be waiting with their folders and their practiced sympathy. They'll talk about restructuring and new directions, hand me a severance package, and expect me to go quietly. What Ethan doesn't know, what none of them know, is that I'm not just some middle manager they can discard. I'm the keeper of this company's most critical secret, a detail so small they've forgotten it exists, but so vital that without it, their entire international operation will crumble like a house of cards in a hurricane. As Ethan walks away to glad hand another group, I pull out my phone and check the time. 8:57 p.m. In 63 hours. I'll be sitting in that conference room. In 64 hours. I'll be walking out of this building for the last time. And in 72 hours, they'll realize exactly what they've lost. But by then, it will be far too late. Monday arrives with the kind of gray drizzle that makes Manhattan feel like it's mourning something. I arrive at the office at 8:45 a.m., 15 minutes before my execution. The security guard, Marcus, who's known me for a decade, gives me a sympathetic nod. He knows. They always know. Conference room 12 is on the executive floor, chosen specifically for its distance from the main workspace. Can't have the condemned making a scene where the other employees might see. I take the elevator up, my reflection in the polished steel doors showing a woman who appears remarkably calm for someone about to lose everything. When I enter the room at exactly 9 a.m., they're already assembled. Ethan sits at the head of the table, flanked by Sandra from HR and someone I don't recognize, probably legal. There's a folder in front of Sandra, thick with what I assume is paperwork designed to ensure I can't sue them. A box of tissues sits conspicuously in the center of the table. How thoughtful. "Claire, please have a seat," Ethan says, gesturing to the chair across from them. The power dynamics are clear. 3 against 1, them on one side, me isolated on the other. I sit, placing my laptop and company phone on the table as instructed. Sandra clears her throat and begins her rehearsed speech. "Claire, first, we want to thank you for your 15 years of service to Meridian Global. Your contributions have been valued." She pauses, glancing at her notes. "However, as you know, the recent merger has necessitated a comprehensive review of our organizational structure." Necessitated, I repeat, letting the word hang in the air. "That's a nice way of putting it." Ethan leans forward. "Claire, this isn't personal. It's simply business. We need to optimize our operations, and that means making difficult decisions about redundancies." "Redundancy," I say. "After 15 years, I'm a redundancy." Sandra pushes the folder toward me. "We've prepared a severance package that we believe is quite generous. 3 months' salary, continued health benefits through the end of the year, and of course, we'll provide positive references for your job search." I open the folder, scanning the documents. It's all standard until I reach page 12. There, buried in the legal jargon, is something interesting, a clause requiring me to confirm the transfer of all operational authorities and signatory powers to my successor. My pulse quickens, but I keep my expression neutral. "This is quite comprehensive," I say, flipping through the pages slowly, buying time to think. "We'll need your signature on all marked sections," the legal representative finally speaks. "This includes the non-disclosure agreement, the non-compete clause, and the transfer of authorities." Transfer of authorities. They have no idea what they're asking me to sign. 10 years ago, when we were expanding into Europe and Asia, regulations were different, stricter, to fast-track our applications in 5 critical markets. The company needed a single individual to hold personal liability for compliance. The board didn't want that responsibility, and neither did the C-suite. So they came to me, their most trusted operations manager, and asked me to put my name on the line. The permit, Regulation 43F, was so obscure, so buried in international bureaucracy, that over the years and through 3 CEO changes, everyone forgot about it. Everyone except me. It's still active, still in my name, and still the cornerstone that allows Meridian Global to operate in Frankfurt, Tokyo, Singapore, Dubai, and London. $275 million of our revenue flows through those offices. "I'll need a few minutes to read through everything," I say. "Of course," Sandra replies, though Ethan looks impatient. "Take your time." I read every line, making small notes in the margins. When I reach the transfer of authority section, I initial all the subsections except one, the one relating to international regulatory permits. It's a single line, easy to miss among dozens of others. I sign everywhere else with a flourish. "Everything looks to be in order," I say, closing the folder and sliding it back to Sandra. She does a cursory check, sees signatures on all the main pages, and nods with satisfaction. "Excellent. We'll need your laptop and phone now." I slide them across the table. Ethan stands, that sharp smile back on his face. "We've arranged for security to help you collect your personal items. You have 30 minutes. 30 minutes to pack up 15 years. I stand, smooth my skirt, and meet his gaze directly. "It's been educational. Ethan, I hope you get everything you deserve from this restructuring." "I'm sure we will," he replies, missing the edge in my words entirely. Security escorts me to my office, former office now. I pack my things methodically: photos, a few personal books, the coffee mug my team gave me for my 10th anniversary. My assistant, Karen, watches from the doorway, tears in her eyes. "This is bullshit, Claire," she whispers. "It's business," I reply, echoing Ethan's words. "Just business." By 9:35 a.m., I'm in the lobby, cardboard box in hand, watching the rain streak down the glass doors. Marcus helps me get a taxi, holding an umbrella over my head. "You take care of yourself, Ms. Donovan," he says. "Oh, I will, Marcus, I absolutely will." As the taxi pulls away from the building, I don't look back. There's no point. In approximately 60 hours, Ethan Walsh is going to discover that single missing initial, and when he does, when he realizes what it means, it will already be too late. The trap is set. All I have to do now is wait. Back in my apartment, I pour myself a glass of wine, good wine this time, not the corporate swill from Friday's party, and spread the copies I'd made of my termination paperwork across my dining table. There it is, on page 12, subsection 4.3.2. Transfer of international regulatory permits and authorities. The line where my initials should be sits empty, a tiny void that's about to become a black hole. I pull out my personal laptop and log into a secure server I've maintained for years, one that houses copies of every important document I've ever signed for Meridian Global. The file I'm looking for is dated March 15th, 2012. Opening it brings back memories of that chaotic expansion period when we were racing against competitors to establish footholds in international markets. The document is dense with legal terminology, but the crucial part is clear. The undersigned accepts full personal liability and sole signatory authority for Regulation 43F compliance across designated territories. My signature sits bold at the bottom, witnessed by the company's then legal counsel, who retired 5 years ago, and the former CEO, who died of a heart attack 3 years back. What makes Regulation 43F so special? It's a quirk of international trade law, designed to prevent shell companies from flooding markets without accountability. Each company must have a single individual, not a corporation, not a board, but a person, who holds the permit. That person can't be changed without filing extensive paperwork with each country's regulatory body, a process that takes months and requires the current holder's explicit consent and signature. I remember the day they came to me with this opportunity. They made it sound like an honor, a sign of trust. What they were really doing was passing off a massive legal liability to someone they thought would be too grateful to understand the power it gave them. But I understood. I understood perfectly. My phone buzzes with a text from Karen. "Legal is losing their minds looking for some international permit documentation. Did you handle that before you left?" I don't respond. Instead, I book a flight to Phoenix for tomorrow morning. My sister lives in a small town outside the city. Been asking me to visit for years. Now seems like the perfect time for an extended vacation. Somewhere with no corporate pressure, no Ethan Walsh, and most importantly, no immediate way for Meridian Global to reach me when they realize what's about to happen. That evening, I have dinner with my best friend, Rachel, who's a partner at a law firm downtown. I don't tell her the specifics, but I mention I might need legal representation soon. "They fired you?" she asks, incredulous, "after 15 years. "Restructuring," I say, mimicking Ethan's tone. "Operational optimization." "Bastards. You want me to look at your severance agreement?" "Already signed it," I lie smoothly, "but I might need your help with something else in a few days." She studies me over her martini. "Claire, what did you do?" "Nothing," I reply, which is technically true. It's what I didn't do that's going to matter. The next morning, I'm at JFK by 6 a.m. for my 8 o'clock flight. As I'm boarding, my phone starts buzzing with calls from a Meridian number. I decline them all and switch to airplane mode. Whatever they've discovered, it's too early. The permit doesn't expire for another 48 hours. These calls are probably about something routine, maybe questions about transitioning my projects. But I know the clock is ticking. Regulation 43F requires renewal every 10 years, and the 10-year mark is Thursday at midnight, Eastern Standard Time. Without my signature on the renewal documents, documents that can only be signed by the registered permit holder, Meridian Global's operations in 5 countries will automatically freeze. Not slowly, not with warning, but instantly, like someone pulling the plug on a computer. The beautiful part. The company can't even file for an emergency extension without me. The regulations are clear, only the current permit holder can initiate any changes, renewals, or transfers. It's an old law, designed in an era before corporate mergers and acquisitions became blood sport, when business still pretended to value individual accountability. As the plane takes off, I watch Manhattan shrink below me, all those glass towers full of people like Ethan who think they're masters of the universe. They treat employees like chess pieces, forgetting that sometimes a pawn can become a queen if it knows how to navigate the board. My phone, still in airplane mode, shows 17 missed calls from Meridian by the time we reach cruising altitude. I delete them all without listening to the voicemails and open my book, a thriller about corporate espionage. It seems fitting. In my carry-on, I have a folder with every document related to Regulation 43F, including the renewal forms that arrived at my Meridian email 6 weeks ago, forms I forwarded to my personal email before printing them out, forms that will remain unsigned. Ethan wanted fresh perspectives and operational efficiency. He's about to learn that sometimes the old guard knows things the new blood never bothered to learn, and sometimes that knowledge is the difference between a $275 million expansion and a complete operational collapse. The flight attendant offers me a drink. I order champagne. After all, I have something to celebrate, my freedom, and Meridian Global's impending education in the value of institutional knowledge. 36 hours and counting. My sister Sarah picks me up from Phoenix Sky Harbor. All sunshine and questions about my sudden visit. I've told her I'm taking a sabbatical after leaving Meridian, which isn't entirely untrue. Her house in Sedona is perfect. Red rocks, desert silence, and most importantly, no cell service unless you drive 10 minutes into town. "You look different," she says as we drive through the desert landscape. "Lighter somehow." "Unemployment suits me," I reply, watching the cacti blur past the window. Wednesday morning, I drive into town for coffee and deliberately turn on my phone for exactly 5 minutes. 63 missed calls from Meridian, 27 text messages, and 41 emails. I scan through them quickly. The early ones are professional. Urgent matter requiring your attention. Please contact us immediately regarding documentation. But as the timestamps get more recent, the tone shifts. Panic is seeping through their corporate composure. One email from Sandra in HR, sent at 11:43 p.m. last night, catches my eye. "Claire, there seems to be a misunderstanding about some international permits. Please call urgently." Misunderstanding, that's adorable. I delete everything, buy my coffee, and turn the phone off again. The barista, a young woman with purple hair, compliments my smile. "You look like someone who just won the lottery," she says. "Something like that," I tell her. Back at Sarah's, I sit on her porch with my laptop, connected to her Wi-Fi, and log into an international regulatory monitoring site using credentials I've maintained personally. I navigate to Meridian Global's status page. All 5 international offices still show green lights, active status, but beside each one, in small red text, is a countdown timer. Renewal required in 29 hours, 14 minutes. The system is automated and unforgiving. When those timers hit 0, the green lights will turn red, and every one of Meridian's international operations will be legally frozen. Bank accounts, contracts, employee authorizations, even building access cards. Everything tied to those permits will simply stop working. That evening, Sarah and I have dinner on her patio. She's telling me about her jewelry business, how she's expanding to online sales, when my phone, which I'd forgotten to turn off after charging, explodes with notifications. I glance at it. Ethan Walsh himself is calling. "You going to answer that?" Sarah asks. "Absolutely not." The phone rings again. This time it's Richard Brennan, the CEO. I decline that call too. Sarah frowns. "Claire, what's going on?" "Remember when Dad taught us to play chess?" I ask, pouring more wine. "He always said the most powerful piece isn't the one that moves the most, but the one your opponent forgets about until it's too late." "You were terrible at chess," she reminds me. "I got better." Thursday morning arrives with desert sunshine and the sound of my phone vibrating against the nightstand. It's 6 a.m. Phoenix time, 8 a.m. in New York. I have a voicemail from Richard Brennan himself. Claire, this is Richard. I'm calling about an urgent matter regarding some international documentation. There's clearly been an oversight in your transition paperwork. We need to resolve this immediately. Please call me directly at... I delete it before he finishes giving his number. By noon Phoenix time, 2 p.m. Eastern, my phone is receiving a call every 3 minutes. They're rotating through the entire executive team, then legal, then back to HR. Text messages are becoming increasingly desperate. Claire, we need the Regulation 43F renewal signed today. This is affecting our entire international operation. Please respond. We're prepared to discuss additional compensation for your assistance. Urgent legal ramifications for both parties if permits expire. That last one makes me laugh. Legal ramifications for both parties. They have no idea how Regulation 43F works. The liability is entirely mine. That was the whole point of them making me sign it originally. If I don't renew it, I'm simply choosing not to accept continued liability. Perfectly legal. The fact that Meridian can't operate without it, that's their problem. At 3 p.m. Phoenix time, 5 p.m. Eastern, I receive an email from Ethan Walsh. The subject line is Termination Error, Urgent Correction Needed. I open it out of curiosity. Claire, it has come to our attention that your termination was processed in error. We are prepared to reinstate you immediately with a 40% salary increase and a signing bonus of $100,000. Please contact me urgently so we can resolve this matter. Ethan Walsh, Vice President, Operational Excellence. Termination error. Not an apology for throwing away 15 years of dedication. Not an acknowledgement of their mistake. Just a desperate attempt to undo what they've done now that they need me. I compose a single reply. My termination was explained to me quite clearly as a necessary restructuring for operational efficiency. I wouldn't want to interfere with your fresh perspective. Best regards, Claire. 7 hours until midnight Eastern. 7 hours until their international empire crumbles. I pour myself a glass of Sarah's homemade sangria and watch the sun start its descent toward the red rocks. My phone buzzes with another text, this one from Karen. Claire, whatever you're doing, it's working. Ethan just got fired in the middle of the boardroom. Security escorted him out. They're all losing their minds. Ethan fired. That's unexpected but not unwelcome. The sacrificial lamb, offered up to appease the corporate gods. But it won't matter. The only thing that would matter is my signature on those renewal documents. And that's not happening. 5 hours and counting. The view from Sarah's porch is spectacular tonight. Thursday, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. 1 hour left. I'm sitting in Sarah's living room with my laptop open to the regulatory monitoring site, watching those countdown timers tick towards 0. My phone has been silent for the past hour. They've finally stopped calling. Either they've accepted their fate, or they're huddled in some boardroom, desperately trying to find a legal loophole that doesn't exist. At 11:30 p.m. Eastern, something interesting happens. The status page for the London office flickers. Someone is attempting to file an emergency modification request. I watch as the system automatically rejects it. Action requires authorization from registered permit holder C. Donovan. They try again. Same result. 3 more attempts in rapid succession. All rejected. I can practically see them in that boardroom. Some junior lawyer frantically clicking submit while the executives stand behind them, watching their empire crack at the foundations. At 11:45 p.m., my phone rings one more time. It's a number I don't recognize, but I answer it. Sometimes you want to hear the desperation. Ms. Donovan. The voice is unfamiliar, older, authoritative. This is Harrison Pike, chairman of Meridian Global's board of directors. The chairman himself. They've gone all the way to the top. Mr. Pike, I acknowledge. I'll be direct. We've made serious errors in judgment. Ethan Walsh has been terminated. Richard Brennan has submitted his resignation. Effective immediately. The board recognizes that your termination was not only wrong, but potentially catastrophic for our international operations. Potentially, I laugh. Mr. I, in 14 minutes, your international operations won't exist. Which is why I'm calling. Name your price. Whatever you want. Salary, position, equity. We'll make you chief operating officer if that's what it takes. Just sign the renewal. Mr. Pike, do you know why I was terminated? There's a pause. Ethan Walsh believed you were redundant. Redundant, I repeat. After 15 years, after building your international framework from nothing, after taking personal legal liability for your expansion, I was redundant, and not one person in that boardroom questioned it. Not you, not Richard, not legal. You all signed off on it. That was a mistake. No, Mr. Pike, a mistake is forgetting someone's birthday. What you did was deliberate corporate brutality. You identified your most loyal employees and culled us like diseased cattle. Janet, 12 years, gone. Tom from legal, 18 years, gone. Me, 15 years, gone. All to save what may be 8% on payroll. Ms. Donovan, please. I'm going to tell you something, Mr. Pike, and I want you to share this with your board. For 10 years, I've carried the legal liability for your international operations on my personal shoulders. If anything had gone wrong, regulatory violations, compliance failures, anything, it would have been me facing criminal charges, not Meridian Global. I accepted that risk because I believed in this company, because I thought loyalty meant something. 11:57 p.m. Eastern. There's still time, Pike says, and I can hear the desperation cracking his voice. 3 minutes. Please, Claire, don't let 15 years end like this. 15 years ended on Monday at 9:35 a.m. when security escorted me out of the building. This is just consequence. We'll sue you for sabotage. Good luck with that. I haven't sabotaged anything. I've simply chosen not to renew a personal liability that I'm under no obligation to maintain. Your legal team should have thought about this before they terminated the only person authorized to sign those renewals. 11:59 p.m. 1 minute, Ms. Donovan, please. Thousands of employees depend on those international offices. Then maybe you should have thought about that before you started your operational optimization. Those employees needed their jobs too. Janet's daughter just started college. Tom was 2 years from retirement. Did you think about them? Claire. Midnight. On my laptop screen, I watch as 5 green lights turn red simultaneously. London, suspended. Frankfurt, suspended. Tokyo, suspended. Singapore, suspended. Dubai, suspended. It's done, I tell Pike. There's silence on the other end. Then, quietly, what have you done? Exactly what you trained me to do. Mr. Pike, I optimized my operations. I cut the redundancy. I eliminated the inefficiency of working for people who see employees as expenses rather than assets. This will destroy us. No, it won't. Meridian will survive. You'll spend millions on lawyers, lose hundreds of millions in frozen assets and broken contracts, probably face a few lawsuits from international partners. Your stock will tank, but you'll survive. Companies like Meridian always do. You'll just have to do it without the infrastructure I built. I hear papers rustling, muffled voices in the background. Someone is shouting. Several people are shouting. The Tokyo office, someone yells in the background. They can't access anything. The entire system is locked. Frankfurt is calling, another voice. The bank has frozen all accounts tied to the permit. Singapore can't process payroll tomorrow. 2,300 employees. Pike comes back on the line. Claire, please, there must be something. Actually, there is one thing, I say. In about 6 months, when you've spent $30 million on legal fees and lost half your international revenue, remember this moment. Remember that you had a dozen chances to value experience over ego, to choose loyalty over spreadsheets. Remember that you could have kept me for the cost of Ethan Walsh's signing bonus. You're destroying innocent people's lives, he says. No, Mr. Pike, I'm refusing to save them. There's a difference. Besides, I learned from the best. It's not personal. It's just business. I hang up. Sarah is standing in the doorway, having heard the last part of the conversation. Holy shit, Claire! I close my laptop and stand up, stretching. Want to open another bottle of wine? I think we're celebrating. What exactly are we celebrating? I think for a moment. Independence Day. Friday morning. 7 a.m. Phoenix time. 9 a.m. in New York. The financial news is just starting to pick up the story. I'm watching CNBC, while Sarah makes breakfast. And there it is, scrolling across the bottom. Meridian Global faces operational crisis as international offices go dark overnight. The anchor, a polished woman in a navy suit, furrows her brow as she reads the breaking news. In an unprecedented development, Meridian Global Corporation has suspended all international operations across 5 major markets. Sources inside the company describe chaos as employees in London, Frankfurt, Tokyo, Singapore, and Dubai have been locked out of all systems since midnight. Sarah slides a plate of eggs in front of me. Is that your handiwork? I prefer to think of it as performance art, I reply, taking a bite. My phone, charging on the counter, has been buzzing non-stop since 6 a.m. I've stopped counting the calls, but then a text comes through from Karen that makes me pick it up. Emergency board meeting happening now. They've brought in crisis management consultants. Someone leaked to Wall Street Journal. Stock down 12% in pre-market trading. I switch to the Wall Street Journal app. The headline reads, Meridian Global's international operations paralyzed by regulatory failure. The article is still developing, but someone inside has been talking. They mention the recent layoffs, the aggressive restructuring, and speculation about a catastrophic oversight in compliance management. By 10 a.m. Phoenix time, the story has evolved. CNBC has a panel of experts discussing what could cause such a complete shutdown. One analyst, a sharp-looking man with silver temples, offers his theory. This appears to be a massive compliance failure. From what we're hearing, Meridian may have overlooked a critical regulatory renewal. The question is, how does a company of this size miss something so fundamental? How indeed? At 11 a.m., I receive an email from Rachel, my lawyer friend. The subject line is just, the body reads, Claire, Meridian's legal team just reached out to our firm. They're seeking emergency consultation about something called Regulation 43F. My managing partner mentioned your name came up 17 times in their brief. What the hell did you do? I reply, remember when I said I might need legal representation? Can we talk Monday? Her response is immediate. You beautiful, terrifying genius. Yes, Monday. Keep your phone off until then. By noon, Meridian has released an official statement. It's a masterpiece of corporate speak, saying absolutely nothing while trying to reassure investors. Meridian Global is addressing a temporary administrative matter affecting some international operations. We are working diligently to resolve this issue and expect normal operations to resume shortly. This situation does not impact our domestic business or our fundamental financial position. Temporary administrative matter, I actually laugh out loud. The stock market, however, isn't buying it. By market close, Meridian is down 22%. Market cap loss approximately $3 billion, all because they wanted to save a few million on salaries. At 3 p.m. Phoenix time, I get a call from a number I don't recognize. Against my better judgment, I answer. Ms. Donovan. This is Jennifer Martinez from the Financial Times. I'm writing a piece about the situation at Meridian Global. I understand you were recently terminated from the company after 15 years of service. The press has found me. No comment. Sources tell me you were the registered holder of the Regulation 43F permit. Can you confirm? I hang up. Within an hour, 3 more reporters call, Bloomberg, Reuters, and someone from a financial blog. I don't answer any of them, but I know what this means. The real story is about to break. At 5 p.m. Phoenix time, 7 p.m. Eastern, Bloomberg publishes the bomb, Meridian Global Crisis, traced to single employee termination. The article is remarkably well sourced. Someone inside, probably someone else who got laid off, has given them everything. They have the timeline of the layoffs, Ethan Walsh's role, my termination on Monday, and the permit expiration on Thursday night. They even have a quote from an anonymous board member. This is the most expensive firing in corporate history. The article includes a detail that makes me smile. Ethan Walsh's total tenure at Meridian Global was 23 days. His severance package, per his contract, was $2 million. My severance for 15 years was 3 months' salary. Sarah finds me on the porch as the sun sets, painting the red rocks in shades of gold and amber. You're trending on Twitter, she says, showing me her phone. #RegulationRevenge is the hashtag. Someone has made a meme of a chessboard with a pawn taking down a king. The caption, "When you forget the pawn can become a queen." The internet works fast, I observe. Are you worried about lawsuits? I shake my head. They can't sue me for not signing something I'm not obligated to sign. If anything, they should sue whoever decided to fire the only person who could sign it. My phone rings again. This time, it's a 212 number I recognize. The main line for Meridian Global's headquarters. I let it go to voicemail. Then listen. Ms. Donovan, this is the board of directors of Meridian Global. We are convening an emergency session tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern. We formally request your presence, either in person or via video conference. Please understand this is not adversarial. We need to find a solution that works for all parties. The board is prepared to meet any reasonable demands. Any reasonable demands? Yesterday, my demand would have been simple, my job back. Today, I'm not sure any demand would be reasonable enough for what they've put me through. Sarah refills my wine glass. So what now? Now, I watch the last of the sunlight fade from the rocks. Now we see how long it takes them to understand that some things, once broken, can't be fixed with money or board resolutions. And the employees, the ones in those international offices, that's the part that sits heavy in my chest. They'll be paid. Meridian will have to figure out emergency measures, probably costly ones, but they'll make it work. They have to. The lawsuits otherwise would destroy them completely. But you feel guilty. I feel proportionate, I decide. They were willing to destroy lives for efficiency. I just showed them what efficiency really costs. Saturday morning, 6 a.m. Phoenix time. I wake to find 47 emails from Meridian's legal team, each more desperate than the last. The subject lines evolve from urgent response required to critical board prepared to meet all demands to simply, please. Rachel calls at 7. Claire, I've been retained by 3 different Meridian board members personally, not the company, the individuals. They want me to broker a deal. You need your own lawyer, now. Can you recommend someone? Already did. David Chen from Whitman Associates. He's expecting your call. Claire, they're beyond desperate. The Singapore government is threatening to ban them permanently. Tokyo's Financial Regulatory Board has opened an investigation. This is bigger than just frozen operations. By 8 a.m., I'm on a video call with David Chen. He's everything you want in a corporate lawyer. Sharp, ruthless, and amused by the situation. Ms. Donovan, I've reviewed the available documentation. You're in an extraordinary position. Meridian needs you to sign new permit applications, which could take months to process. In the meantime, they're hemorrhaging approximately $40 million per day in lost revenue, penalties, and emergency measures. $40 million a day. Conservative estimate. Now, they've made several offers through various channels. The highest so far is Chief Operating Officer, $5 million signing bonus, and a guaranteed contract that prevents termination without board supermajority. Shall I tell them no? Tell them I'll sign the permits on 3 conditions. I say. First, every employee terminated in the last 30 days is offered reinstatement at 20% above their previous salary. Second, Ethan Walsh's $2 million severance is divided among those employees as additional compensation. Third, the company implements a policy requiring board approval for any termination of employees with over 10 years tenure. David smiles. That's going to cost them roughly $15 million. $40 million a day, you said, seems like a bargain. And for you personally? Nothing. I don't want their money, and I don't want their job. I want them to fix what they broke for everyone else. David raises an eyebrow. You're turning down $5 million. I'm buying something more valuable, proof that they need us more than they'll ever admit. By 10 a.m., the response comes back. They've agreed to all 3 conditions, but with a caveat. They want me to sign a non-disclosure agreement about the entire situation. Absolutely not, I tell David. No NDA. They can have their permits signed, but I won't be silenced about what happened. The negotiation continues. At noon, Harrison Pike himself joins the video call. He looks like he hasn't slept in 48 hours. Ms. Donovan, we've agreed to your terms regarding the employees. It's more than fair, but we need some assurance that this story ends here. The story ends when you fix the systematic devaluation of experienced employees. Mr. Pike, this wasn't about one bad actor. Ethan Walsh was hired and empowered by your leadership team to do exactly what he did. Until that changes, you're just putting band-aids on a severed artery. What do you want from us? He sounds genuinely confused. I want you to learn. I want the next time some consultant or executive suggests firing your institutional knowledge. You remember this week. You remember that your company was brought to its knees not by a competitor or market forces, but by forgetting that experience has value you can't see on a spreadsheet. Pike is quiet for a moment. The board has authorized me to make one final offer. We'll meet all your conditions for the terminated employees. Additionally, we'll create an employee advocacy position on the board, someone elected by employees with over 10 years tenure, and we'll establish a fund, $10 million, for retraining and retention of senior employees. The fund should be $20 million, I counter. Ethan Walsh was paid $2 million for 23 days of destruction. Surely rebuilding is worth 10 times that. There's muffled discussion off camera. Then Pike returns. Agreed. Then have the papers drawn up. I'll sign the permit applications Monday morning. Monday, Ms. Donovan? Every hour costs us. I know exactly what it costs you.